Join us. But right now, a guy who helped break the story a year ago right here on Red Card, a guy that everyone knows and, as I said, can never be duplicated. He writes for DeMarzio and ESPN, David Amoyal. David, welcome, my friend.
Fantastic to be on your show, Anthony. Thanks for having me. But boy, you gave me a tough act to follow.
Awesome to have you on, David. Let's talk about it. What a 2015 MVP, Golden Boot, newcomer of the year, 22 goals, highlight reel goals, unbelievable season with that beautiful smile, Sebastian Giovinco. Wow, what a season. Talk about it.
You know, there were high expectations for him going in. You know, I always like to say, you know, when a player performs and does really well, we kind of forget the price tag. At the beginning, there was a lot of talk of how much Giovinco earned, and now he was one of the highest paid Italian players in the world. And the way he's played for Toronto, nobody talks anymore about how much Toronto is paying him. And I think that really sums up how great he's been.
Absolutely. So, David, let's look now to 2016. I don't know if you had a chance to listen, but Andrea D'Amico was on, and we discussed a few things. And I asked him about possibility of some more Italian players here, and he didn't shy away from him. And you could sense that I believed, anyway, hearing him, that the possibility is strong of more Italian players coming here to Toronto because it was such a success on the field and also off the field. What have you heard? And I think this is also great for MLS and TFC. I'm sure you agree.
I certainly agree. You know, I think what really stands out to me about Giovinco is you mentioned a lot of the other great players that came, like Drogba, Villa, Pirlo. These are guys, though, you know, towards the end of their careers. Giovinco came here right in the prime of his career. He really delivered. He's really enjoying living in North America. So I think it's certainly possible you're going to see more players coming. We already saw Toronto FC had a Italian midfielder, Galoppa, who used to play for Parma, on trial here. So I think you're going to see more of them. It's a little bit of a weird period with the Euro coming and MLS being off until March, but I think we certainly could see more players, and D'Amico certainly hinted to that while staying very professional.
And you could sense now also back in Italy, back in Europe, MLS is starting to make strides because they're paying the big bucks. They have the wonderful facilities, and so much publicity has been given this 2015 with Giovinco, Kaká, and Drogba arriving here. It's been all positives that I believe, as I said to D'Amico, that more and more younger players are starting to call him to make their way over here. Not just the guys that are in their 30 years plus. I believe one guy that I think that they're going to target TFC and possibly go hard after, it's going to be hard to get him. I'd like to get your thoughts, is Rugani with Juventus, who is not playing very much and has a bright future that needs to play, and I think the cost would be right around what TFC would want to spend. Your thoughts, David?
Well, I think Rugani would be very tough for a couple of reasons. For one, you know, yeah, you're right. He hasn't played at all, and here's a defender who last season was the only player in Serie A who played in every minute. So he went from playing in every minute to only playing a handful of minutes for Juve in the Champions League. I think, though, you know, Juve has an aging defense. They really want him to learn from those players. I think Rugani knew that coming in at Juve, who was ahead of him. It's certainly possible he could be loaned. My guess is, though, if that happens, it would be in Italy. But with Giovinco, look, you know, everyone in Italy was shocked when Giovinco came here. Credit to the guys in Toronto who broke that part of the story. So you really never know. I think Rugani, though, would be a little tough just because of the situation that he's in. He also is going to be playing in the Euro for Italy's under 21, so I think he'll probably stay in Italy. But Giovinco showed us that really anything is possible with Toronto.
Now, I'm not a betting man, but I can tell you I'm almost, I would say, a good 80% sure that Andrea Bargiali will be here in a Reds uniform come 2016 after the Euros. What have you heard, David?
Well, I think it's very smart that you said after the Euro. I think, you know, he's definitely going to finish the season at Juve. He's still their best defender. Chiellini has been taking a step back. Barzagli is still sensational for Juve. I think he's definitely going to finish the season. As you mentioned, wants to complete the Euro. You know, he has his contract with Juve is going to be up soon. They're trying to extend him. He could be here in 2016. But like you said, it won't be like Giovinco, who arrived here at the start of the season, if it happens. I have a feeling, Juve would love to keep him based on his performance. Unlike Giovinco, he is a key player for them. But again, I'm going to chalk it up again to the fact that few expected Toronto to land Giovinco, so I really won't exclude anything.
Now, I also believe that with no goalkeepers, no starting goalkeepers, that both of them that have been let go, Joe Bendik and Chris Konopka, the TFC is going to go hard after a quality number one goalkeeper. I don't know if it's a guy that has MLS experience or maybe a guy that's in Italy, again, that has a ton of experience to come over here and play a goalkeeper for TFC. I haven't heard of anything until a couple years back where I heard the name of Morgan DeSantis. I haven't heard anything since. I don't know if you have, but I also keep hearing these names that are out there. Nocerino, Borriello. I hear these names, that the possibility of them. And also another striker up front.
Well, I think, you mentioned DeSantis, and he was on the bench at Roma and now regained his starting spot. Szczęsny was caught smoking a cigarette after the Barcelona match. They said that's why he got benched. Maybe it's the fact he gave up 6 goals. Had more to do with that. I think, one player that would be interesting, and this isn't a rumor or anything that I've heard, the goalkeeper for Palermo, Stefano Sorrentino, very, very good goalkeeper, used to be a backup at Juve, and one of the better starters in Italy. His contract is up. I could see a player like that making sense for Toronto. Again, nothing that I've heard, just because he's a player that's available. I could see that. I wanted to piggyback, one thing that I heard D'Amico say, about MLS that's very interesting. I don't know if you saw the quote by Bradley, talking about how he misses Italy more than Giovinco. I think that really tells us a lot about the potential of more Italian players coming here.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that. And that came out, I believe, a couple weeks ago, that interview that took place with Bradley David. I'm glad you brought that up. That's why I believe there's going to be some massive moves still ahead for TFC. I'm still not 100% sure of where exactly those moves will happen, but I believe there's going to be another massive bomb taking place with player moves here with TFC. Let's talk about coaches, David. You heard me ask the agent Andrea D'Amico about Walter Mazzarri, a guy that is learning English in England, a guy that was the head man at Napoli, then at Inter. And a lot of people are expecting the next wave of Italians to come could be in the coaching department, whether it's Mazzarri. I thought for sure it was going to be Roberto Donadoni, but that was put on shelf with the hiring that he got now. But I believe we're looking at some Italian coaches possibly making their way to MLS as well. Your thoughts?
Well, I completely agree with the conversation you had with D'Amico. I won't lie to you. I was the typical fan that loved Calcio, Serie A, and Italy, and European football in general. I was a snob when it came to MLS until this season. It took players like Giovinco and Pirlo to get me to convert to MLS. And I have to say, I've enjoyed following the league more than I thought that I would. And I agree completely with you that the next frontier for me is really the coaching. That really stands out to me. Now, I do know there's been in the past some European coaches that came to MLS and it didn't work out. But I think really Giovinco has been a game changer for that. We also saw Kaká, other players of that caliber, like the tide is turning in MLS. I think bringing Mazzarri to Toronto would be really a tremendous move. Mazzarri at Inter got somewhat of a bad rap, but at Napoli he did really well. I would argue he did better than Rafa Benitez, who's now coaching Real Madrid. One thing that Mazzarri would certainly do if he arrives in Toronto is fix the defense. That's really his specialty. I think it would be a superb hire. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it happens. No disrespect to Toronto's current coach. But I do think that would be the next frontier, not just for Toronto, but for the league as a whole.
And I agree with you. Yep. Continue, David. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, in the past it hasn't worked with European coaches, but I think now things are different. And I think I'm very interested to see if that happens.
You're 100% bang on. And let me tell you, no disrespect to Greg Vanney. I saw him yesterday. I think he's a quality person. I've got to learn and talk to him a lot more in the last couple of years. I think he's a great family man. But I truly believe in this beginning of the 2016 MLS season where TFC starts on the road again. I believe it's 6 or 7, maybe even 8 on the road again because of construction taking place at BMO Field. I believe if they fall flat in the first 3-4 games, boom, there will be a change. And if Mazzari is still available, I believe Walter Mazzari will be the new head coach of TFC.
I think, one thing that really helps that is that Mazzari is still under contract with Inter through the end of the season in Italy. And he actually was one of the highest paid coaches in Italy. So, he's got revenue coming in. As you mentioned, he was in England trying to get more familiar with English. But, he's got income coming in, so he certainly can wait. He's going to be paid through the end of this season, so really no urgency. I think, that would be a really good move for Toronto. And as you said, that's no disrespect to the current coach. I think it really would help Toronto FC go to the next level.
I'm going to throw you a curveball, David, and you tell me what you think, and you can tell me if I'm off my rocker and if I've had too many espressos. But I truly believe, maybe not yet, but maybe in a year, maybe in a year and a half, we see Giuseppe Rossi coming to MLS. Your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting you say that. Giuseppe Rossi has a difficult story, I would say, with the U.S., and North America in general. He came up through the ranks in New Jersey. It's a great story that he made it all the way to the Azzurri. There's still a lot of bitter feelings on the fact that, he picked to play for the Italian national team instead of the U.S. It would be interesting to see if he kind of regrets that right now. But I could see that, Giuseppe Rossi has struggled with injuries at Fiorentina. They have some very good strikers right now. There were some rumors that he might leave in January. So he definitely has some strong connections to North America. So it's certainly not out of the question that he would come here. I think, it's really more a matter of time. And time could be, even 4 or 5 years from now. But I do think at some point he will want to come back to play here. I think, just the type of person that he is and his life story, it would be truly tremendous to see him come back after choosing to play for the Italian national team and playing in Serie A to come back here.
David, just before we let you go, let's talk about some of the wonderful work you do at ESPN on the DiMarzio site. And what are some of the hot and heavy rumors you're hearing in the transfer market that could possibly take place in 2016?
Thank you for asking. So in January, and you already started seeing me back at ESPN, the January transfer window is a little bit odd. It's a short window. We don't see usually huge stars moving. Last January, we saw Cuadrado go for a big move to Chelsea, and that was really more the exception than the rule. I think, we could see some moves. What really helps is that in Italy especially, there's so many teams that are in contention for the title that we could see some big moves. Some teams who might not have thought they were contending are in it now. It's a little bit early to say anything specific, but, we'll definitely keep you up to date on the site. I could definitely see Napoli try to make a move to get some more depth on their team. Juve is going to wait to see, if they can get healthy in the midfield to see if they can make another move. So you never know. I think it's a little bit early. I don't see any huge moves happening in January, but we saw with Cuadrado, you really can't tell if the right opportunity is there. With all the parity we see in Italy and England, I can't exclude that it's going to be a very busy period for us.
David, give some credit to some of the other guys that do a lot of great work on DiMarzio's site. It is, in my mind, the site in the world. You guys break so many stories. You're really sharp at what you guys do, and it seems like everyone is working in the same way for the right reasons. Talk about it.
Well, first of all, our leader, Gianluca, who you've had on your show around this time last year, just tremendous. The thing about Gianluca is if you get to meet him, and I know you talked to him on the show, you really understand why he has so many great contacts on the team. There's an up-and-coming journalist in Italy, my friend Fabrizio Romano, a young kid, but doing really tremendous work coming up. I have, some staff on my English team. We've grown so much. We have Gianluca Mascaro out in Montreal, a great kid who's doing a great job on weekends for us, and my colleague Steve Mitchell in England, who's doing really well. So we really have a great team. We're very varied. We have people all over the world contributing on the site, so I really appreciate the plug. And I also really appreciate being on ESPN FC during January. You know, for someone that grew up following U.S. sports as well, and many writers here, for me, it's a dream come true. And I want to say that only happens because I have so many supporters, many of them in Toronto, many of them in Canada, who support me so well. So a big thank you to all of them. You know, without them, I wouldn't be able to make my dreams come true like I am.
Well, David, we really appreciate you making time for us and joining us to talk about Giovinco and the magical season and so many other little stories around MLS. To you, David, to your family, happy holiday season. We will connect in 2016, and I guarantee you we will have another Italian on TFC squad, and I think it will be great for MLS and the city of Toronto. Continued success with ESPN and DiMarzio. We really, again, appreciate you joining us, David.
So I want to wish you and all the listeners and everyone like a Buon Natale, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thanks again for all the support you give us. I really appreciate it.
Outstanding. A humble guy, a class act, a sharp guy, a guy that knows the game inside out. David Amoyal of DiMarzio and ESPN. Class act. We really appreciate him joining us.